Donald Trump is starting to lose support everywhere. Not only is he tanking in the polls, not only are big dollar donors pulling away their commitments, but he's losing friends at Fox News. Yes, the Fox propaganda network has turned its back on Donald Trump and is kind of hitting him where it hurts right now for a couple of reasons. And as you can expect, Donald Trump is losing his mind because of this. He just can't stand it. Fox News has been airing Kamala Harris's rallies, and of course, Donald Trump is probably tuning into all of them, seeing her absolutely devastate him with an incredible message, and that's making him lose his mind. But it's not just that they're airing Kamala Harris's rallies. They have aired an ad from a certain super PAC run by a certain ex-Republican who really makes Donald Trump's blood boil. George Conway's anti-psychopath, a PAC that he started to call out Donald Trump's declining mental state, is now airing its ads on Fox News. Yes, the Fox propaganda outlet is hitting back against Donald Trump, maybe by accident, maybe because they're a little upset with him. I don't know the reason, but Donald Trump certainly is upset, and we're going to get to his Truth Social meltdown in just a second. But before we do, let's play this ad from George Conway.
Donald Trump has never, ever been right in the head.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
An enormous, really an enormous.
And then they announced there was no buys, no.
Take a look at the oranges of the investigation.
Venezuela,
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, they say the noise causes cancer.
I don't know what I said. The whole criminal. They have voter ID. They have ID on everything. You buy a loaf of bread, you have ID. The first non-incumbent. The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. Injection inside or almost a cleaner.
That an illegal ad.
Learn more at psychopac.org. Anti-Psychopath PAC Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I am so glad we have people like George Conway talking about the declining mental state of Donald Trump. Not just declining, but the dementing mental state of Donald Trump and the diagnosable character flaws that he had made him so dangerous to be in the White House in 2016 and make him an even greater danger now that his brain is dementing even more and he becomes more dangerous, divisive, and frankly unhinged. So I'm glad that George Conway is talking about this. I'm glad that he's bringing attention to it. I think it's hilarious that these ads are being played on Fox, but now they are hitting the demo who needs to hear about this because Fox would strictly cover President Biden's age, and I believe, quite frankly, unfairly, they covered his age. So I'm glad Donald Trump's age is now being fairly covered on Fox, which is crazy to say. But Donald Trump, crazy as he is, was incredibly upset with this and sent out this angry tweet or post on Truth Social. Why is Fox News putting on crazy Kamala Harris rallies? Why do they allow the perverts at the failed and disgraced Lincoln Project to advertise on Fox News? Even Mr. Kellyanne Conway, a man so badly hurt and humiliated by his wife, she must have done some really nasty things to him because he is crazy, is advertising on Fox News. We have to win without Fox. It just goes to show how much of a propaganda outlet that Fox News is, that anytime there are some anti-Trump advertisers who are open to secure airtime to purchase it and run their ads, anytime that they appear on Fox, Donald Trump loses his mind. He can't stand the idea of anyone but those who are in complete support of him advertising on Fox. And it's just so funny to see George Conway or the Lincoln Project run ads knowing that Donald Trump will see them because all he really does all day is, sit his ass on his golf court or watch Fox News. He's not doing a lot of campaigning or governing or anything to help this country. He really just cares about himself and tuning into TV. And so I love that they're running these ads, not only because it starts to educate voters on a platform in which they wouldn't really hear anything besides Trump propaganda, but it also upsets Donald Trump, which is just so great to see, isn't it? And this is not the only time recently that Donald Trump has been upset by what is on Fox. We saw Pete Buttigieg just earlier this week go on Fox and absolutely decimate their talking points and Donald Trump. So let's check that out.
Let's get real. Border crossings are down. in the wake of President Biden's executive actions that he took after Congress failed to act.
So he could have taken action.
He wanted Congress to resolve that because that would have been more durable. But when Trump came in, talked Republicans out of their own bipartisan project because he didn't want the issue to get better. Remember, the worse things are at the border, the better things get for Donald Trump. So he has a vested interest in it remaining chaotic down there. I think this also helps to explain why he didn't exactly conclusively solve it when it was his turn. But I saw something else really important happening at the Republican National Convention on the border and the talk about immigration, which we all recognize is a problem, which is they tried to paint this narrative that if you live somewhere far from the border and immigration hasn't affected you personally, you need to think that immigration is a driver of crime. That was the real message. Immigration leads to crime.
Well, there are blue state governors and mayors who say every state is a border state now. That's Democrats.
Yeah, and now they're saying, but what the false message of the RNC was that this is leading to an increase in crime.
Well,
and I think it's really important that we talk about crime.
Have been very high profile about people. If they had not been in this country illegally,
this is my
people
point,
would still
right?
be alive.
Trying to make people think that crime is up when crime is down under Joe Biden and crime was up under Donald Trump. Now, I don't know how often that gets reported on this network, so if you're watching this at home, do yourself a favor and look up the data.
Well, we invite that.
Great. So if you look this up at home, you will know that crime went down under Biden and crime went up under Trump, and I think the violent crime, for sure. So I think the really important thing to ask is, why would America want to go back to the higher crime that we experienced under Donald Trump?
That Fox host clearly regretting bringing on Pete Buttigieg, and I'm glad that Pete went on. I am always glad when Pete Buttigieg goes on Fox. Watching Pete Buttigieg and seeing Jessica Tarlov shut down Fox News talking points, those are the only two real reasons that anyone should be ever tuning in to Fox News. But Pete is laying out this argument. Crime was up under Donald Trump. It is lower under President Biden because of the Biden-Harris administration. And if we want to continue to see crime fall, we got to reelect Kamala Harris. But if we want crime to rise because of the White House and in the White House, that would be because of Donald Trump. And the crime, of course, rising in the White House would be a convicted criminal, 34 counts, Donald Trump being in the White House. But we're not going to let that happen. And Pete is not the only one, like I said, who went on Fox News and called out Donald Trump. In fact, one of their own MAGA hosts, Tommy Lahren, called out Donald Trump for just the disgraceful and, quite frankly, weird attacks that him and J.D. Vance and the rest of the Republican Party have been making on Kamala Harris and women in the Democratic Party. And she called him out. And it was surprising to see a co-host or a host on Fox actually call out Trump. So let's check that out.
Now they've got about 100 days of a honeymoon period that might very well last 50 to 60 days, where people are still going to be just excited that they have Kamala Harris. They're not going to dig into her record. They're not going to be bothered by her record because they're going to be so excited for probably the next 50 days. Well, we've only got about 100 until a general election and even fewer to early voting. Yeah. So don't get too comfortable on the Trump side. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but the attacks on her personally, on whatever her past personally may have been, or calling her a childless lady, none of those are going to work, and they're going to make women second guess their support for what they may have felt for Donald Trump. Bad move.
Ooh, there are a lot of strong points in that for Republicans. I mean, depending on how much you love Donald Trump and do or don't like his VP pick, some of that was for J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for don't call women dumb. It just doesn't work. On Republican women or liberal women, it just doesn't work. There are much better ways to attack Kamala.
Crazy to see a MAGA Fox host attack Donald Trump, tell him essentially, Donald, shut up. Please stop saying these weird things. They're so off-putting to so many voters. And of course, Fox doesn't actually want Donald Trump to change. They like his policies. They support Project 2025. They are also in the cult. They're only saying this because they want to win, which is unfortunate. I wish that someone on Fox would have a backbone and stand up to Donald Trump, but that's not the case. And so the only time that happens is like when a Pete Buttigieg goes on, or when Governor Tim Walz went on Fox News and made a little fun of Donald Trump and said that the Republican Party probably wishes he wasn't the nominee. Let's check that out.
There's a certain irony to saying that Donald Trump is bad for democracy, when it looks pretty obvious that the Democratic Party leapfrogged the entire democratic system, and they did it in about 24 hours publicly.
Look, the process has always been there. I welcome, if Sean or anybody wants to become a DNC delegate, you're welcome to. But what I know is Democrats are ready to move when the situation warrants it. Look, it doesn't matter convictions. It doesn't matter failed policies. Republican Party stuck with Donald Trump. He's yours. You've got him. Welcome to it. Democratic Party can make our decisions. We pick our nominee. Look, if you don't like it, don't vote for it in November. But I think the American public are going to see they knew that this administration was delivering. We knew that as far as economic numbers placed against global numbers, America's in a far better shape. And we also know that a foreign policy that respects our alliances, not cozying up to dictators like Putin and Orban, is not the way to go.
How about this one, Governor?
You know, J.D. Vance, mind your own business is what I would tell them. We'll manage it.
Tim Walz is a potential pick to be Kamala Harris's running mate. Just an incredible governor, and I love when he goes on Fox and shuts down their talking points. He is so good at it. One of the best messengers in the Democratic Party. But like I said, Fox News has been hitting Donald Trump pretty hard recently, and it wasn't just with guests coming on and laying the smackdown, calling him out, or ads being run on Fox. Fox News has released some polling recently, which has Donald Trump down in the dumps in the most important swing states in this election, and we're going to check that out. Down 2 points in Wisconsin, 3 in Pennsylvania, 8 in Minnesota, and a shocking 10 points in Michigan. Donald Trump is down to Kamala Harris. And this is not a liberal-leaning pollster. This is Fox News reporting that Donald Trump is absolutely sinking in the polls in the most important states right now. And we see this huge surge from Kamala Harris, not just in the polls, not just in fundraising, but enthusiasm across the country. We see record signups for new volunteers to work on the Kamala Harris campaign. And of course, those donations are rolling in, but they're not just from your typical Democrats. There are hundreds of thousands of first-time donors who are so excited to get behind the movement that is the Kamala Harris campaign. This contrast between Donald Trump as the career corrupt convicted felon and Kamala Harris as the career prosecutor who has been battling the corrupt is so stark and so clear to so many voters that we've even seen Republicans, as we've talked about on this show, switching from Trump to Kamala Harris because they see her as what George Conway kind of described as the complete anti-Trump, someone in Donald Trump who is a crazed, unhinged person. Kamala Harris is a clear-minded leader who is ready to move us forward. And voters are really starting to see that as they get to know Kamala Harris. And I think that she will only continue to rise in the polls. And that means there are going to be more meltdowns from Donald Trump that we will certainly be checking out and watching and responding to on this show. And so if you want to stay up to date on all of those and see Donald Trump get a little upset sometimes, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. You join what we are building on this channel. It has only been a little bit more than 2 weeks, but we have already blown past 90,000 subscribers. And I think with a little bit of help, maybe from you, viewer, we can hit 100,000. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you are. And if you could do me a quick favor, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. It goes a long way in supporting these videos and would really mean the world to me. I am so incredibly grateful for what we have already built on this channel and what we will continue to build together. And until next time, I'll see you soon.